Congressman Adam Smith, ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you for being here this afternoon.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the chance.
Now, your colleague on the Hill, Senator Dick Durbin, told NBC's David Gregory on Meet the Press this morning that the defense appropriations bill sent to committee last week, a bill with $48 million to upgrade security at embassy buildings and consulate overseas. So let's listen for a moment to what he had to say about that.
We need to protect the people who are out there representing us. We need to know and realize we're living in an increasingly dangerous world. And this specific threat that we've been briefed on over and over again has reached a new level.
Are our interests overseas more vulnerable than previously realized? And does this threat speak to the need for more permanent fortifications of embassies and the like?
I don't know if it's more than previously realized. I mean, we've had threats to our embassies for a long time, and certainly from Al-Qaeda. I mean, back to 1998 embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania. We've been aware of the fact that our, rather extensive foreign presence does make us vulnerable, and we need to shore up that security. A group of us were briefed by Vice President Biden last week and others on what the steps are going to be to take to beef up our presence overseas. Embassies, of course, but consulates as well. I mean, look, Al-Qaeda hasn't gone away, and particularly in the parts of the world where their ideology is most present, we need to be constantly vigilant and protect all of our assets and interests because they are under threat.
And you say Al-Qaeda hasn't gone away, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about that. On one of the Sunday morning talk shows, Republican Congressman Peter King said that in many ways Al-Qaeda is stronger now than before 9/11 in that it has mutated and it has spread. Do you agree with that assessment?
No, I don't agree that they're stronger. They had a central base of operations pre-9/11 in Afghanistan. They had nowhere near the pressure on them that they have right now. Their senior leadership was safely ensconced, unthreatened. There is no place on the globe right now that Al-Qaeda is operating that we and our allies are not attempting to put pressure on them. In Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Yemen, that disrupts plots and makes it more difficult for them to operate. I think the task has become more complicated because pre-9/11 it was pretty much just Afghanistan. It was Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda senior leadership. It's since spread to Somalia and Yemen. We have problems in Mali now. There are cells in different places, but we also have many, many more assets that we have brought to bear to try to contain them, to try to take out their leadership and try to undermine their plans. So they are still a threat. I would not agree that they're stronger than pre-9/11.
And one of the theories is that one of the reasons we're seeing these threats right now is that there's a lot of anger behind recent drone attacks in some of the parts of the world where the embassies are being closed, particularly in Yemen. Do you think that the use of these drones so commonly in that part of the world is actually fueling more anti-American sentiment that's ultimately making us less safe in those areas?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because, on the one hand, there's no question that the drone strikes have made us more safe in one very clear way. They've undermined the ability of these folks to plot and plan against us. Anwar al-Awlaki was the central leader behind the last two plots against the U.S., the underwear bomber in Detroit and the plot to place bombs on, I forget if it was UPS or FedEx planes. Well, we took him out, and we took some of his lieutenants out. We took out some of the senior leadership in Pakistan and elsewhere. Look, I mean, the obsession with drones I find a little odd in the sense that the question is the war. Al-Qaeda declared war on us in 1996. They haven't changed their mind. They are trying to attack us. We are trying to defend ourselves and go after them. I mean, it's not just drones. I mean, we, of course, have done what we've done in Afghanistan. I mean, would it be better if we were launching cruise missiles at them? Look, I mean, they declared war against us. They are threatening us. Now, it's always a delicate balance when you respond to that threat. Right. Yes, violence begets violence, but when you have people out there specifically plotting to attack us, I don't think we can sit back and say, well, we don't want to risk making other people mad. Al-Qaeda senior leadership and Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, are actively plotting against us. We need to use the tools that are in our toolbox to disrupt those plots.
And Congressman, very quickly, any thoughts on how long these embassy closures will persist?
You know, it's hard to say. It depends on what the intelligence tells us and on how quickly we can get to the bottom of the plot and the people who are responsible for it and stop them. It will depend on the intelligence. So I wouldn't make a prediction. I don't think anybody should at this point.
All right, Congressman Adam Smith in Seattle, thanks so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Up next.